How do I do it all? The Brezza gives me the power.
Enter Group B of the ICC Champions Trophy, and we build up to South Africa and Afghanistan, two teams that have quite the storyline and quite the expectations in this tournament. This is Maruti Suzuki Arena presents ESPN Cricket Info Match Day. We've seen India and Bangladesh and New Zealand and Pakistan, now over to South Africa, Afghanistan and Australia, England tomorrow. Wasim Jaffer, I'm delighted to welcome back in studio. It's been a while, Wasim. How are you? What have you been up to?
Well, I'm good, thanks, Ronak. Nice to be back. I've been coaching Punjab, so
Yes.
busy with the domestic cricket. So had a really busy schedule, but I'm free now. So glad to be back.
We've got you back home now. We've tweaked the place up. Do you like what we've done with the place?
Yeah, always nice. We've come from 6th floor to the ground floor.
Oh.
But the show must go on for longer.
You are already on fire, I can see. You are busy with your social media interactions with Mr. Vaughan, but we'll discuss that for later. It's not an unpleasant Englishman. I have a very pleasant Australian instead for company for you. Aaron Finch joins us from Lahore. Finchy, lovely to have you. You've enjoyed your brief time so far. You were there in Karachi for the opening game. How's the tournament going for you?
Yeah, it's been good so far. I've enjoyed it. The first match probably didn't live up to the expectation that we thought we might have seen with the New Zealand Pakistan game, but overall it's been good fun. So looking forward to this group getting started. I think that with India winning yesterday in a pretty convincing run chase in the end, the first two games in this group are huge with and I think it'll go a long way to shaping the final four.
Yeah, I think the expectations of that opening game, Finchy, didn't work out because opening batters don't bat like how you used to bat, Finchy.
Well, it was quite strange, wasn't it? There was, chasing 320 and to be 22 for 2 after 10 overs was quite strange, actually. So I thought that Pakistan needed to get off to a flyer, but I think we'll see some fireworks today.
Yeah, this is the group that we expect some fireworks from. Who knows what's possible in the wonderful nature of the format that the Champions Trophy allows for. Now, Wasim Jaffer, you pick South Africa and Afghanistan in your semis. Let's talk about both the stories today, especially Afghanistan. The fact that you've picked them and you're not the only one just tells us how much the expectations are now from this team that had such a good 2023 ODI World Cup, made the semis of the T20 World Cup. Can they live up to expectation now as against exceeding expectation?
Well, I think they've tasted a little bit of success. They're hungry. The same bunch of guys more or less playing together. So I think that's going to work for them. The support staff, the coaching staff is pretty much the same. So now that they've played the semi-finals, I think they would like to go one step further. And I think the conditions will be pretty much similar. They've all played all along in this area. With spin helping them a little bit, I think they are a force in this tournament.
There's a difference though, Finchy, isn't there, on exceeding expectations, and now they know that they are a team that are supposed to, or at least have a chance to go to the semis?
Yeah, I think that it's a great reward for how consistent they've been. And I mean, you think back to the 2023 50 over World Cup as well, and they had Australia 7 for 91, and that could have turned out so different for Afghanistan and Australia, who of course went on and beat India in Ahmedabad. I like to remind you.
Why thank you. Why thank you for that, Finchy.
About that.
Yeah.
But overall, I mean, they've been really consistent through ICC events, and I think the expectation now is a product of them being more consistent. And it's not just about one or two players that contribute, and all of the expectation gets put on Mohammad Nabi and Rashid Khan like it has in the past. They've got contributors, they've got world-class players with bat and ball right throughout their order. So I think the expectation is justified. And I mean, if you're looking at a team to match up on or in conditions like these that they're going to face today, that there will be turn, there will be wear in the wicket as well. So I think that they match up really well.
Right. Big news coming through from the National Stadium in Karachi, where this game is being played, is that South Africa are batting first, but there's no Heinrich Klaassen. He's been left out as a precautionary measure, as we understand it. But this is a huge player that's not in the opening game. Let's get a reaction on that. Klaassen.
Yeah, very big miss. Obviously, he's in great form as well. Somebody who plays spin really well, can attack the spin so well. And I feel that's going to be a big miss. But I think they've got good players in their side who are in good form. But Henrik Klaasen is a class player, so they'll definitely miss him today.
Yeah, he's also one of the better players against spin. And we think if Afghanistan are going to be successful, it's because their spinners will go through teams' middle orders. And Klaasen not playing the likes of Rashid Khan, does that change the equation of this game before it's even started?
Yeah, I mean, anybody coming in won't have an experience of playing Noor Ahmed and Rashid Khan, who can have such a big say in the middle overs. So obviously, Henrik Klaasen will be missed, but it's an opportunity for the other guys. But somebody who can change the dimension of the game in quick time, Henrik Klaasen, he'll definitely be missed today.
I think it's an elbow injury, I think, is what we're gathering from whatever news we're getting from Karachi. Finchy, does that change does that change the odds in this game, the missing player like Klaasen?
Oh, absolutely it does. He's, in my opinion, and mainly weighted towards T20 cricket, he's probably the best player of spin outside of Asian players at times, I think. So for me, his ability to play off the back foot and be really dominant off the back foot is what sets him apart from a lot of other players. And when you think of Rashid Khan, he's quick through the air, but he's also into the wicket. So the ability to hurt a player like that off the back foot is so important. And Noor Ahmed's very similar as well. So he'll be hugely missed in that middle order. And I think that does slightly swing it towards Afghanistan's favour.
Let's talk South Africa and the story for them. Huge expectation from South Africa as well. They've started making finals. They're going to be in the World Test Championship final. You have picked them, I think, in your semi-final spots before the tournament, Finchy. What's the expectation genuinely from you, from South Africa's point of view? Are they a team that has improved from the last, say, 12 to 18 months, where we can expect them to go beyond just making semis and finals now?
Yeah, I think it is. And of course, I always pick Australia to win every tournament. But I think realistically, I saw South Africa being a team that has got everything, or all the bases covered to be able to be successful in these conditions, whether the finals are in Pakistan or the UAE. I think that they've got a really well-rounded squad. They've got some experience at the top, but that middle order, they're so explosive. You look at Markram, obviously Klaasen not playing there today, Rassie van der Dusen, David Miller. So they've got enough experience there. Then you look at their quicks. They've got world-class quicks. Rabada, he can knock over a top order. Then you've got the skill of Maharaj and Shamsi. So I think the expectation of South Africa goes up. And the fact that they've been so close in the past, I think that would prove to them that they can get there and get it done. And then it's just about getting it done on the day. And I mean, they were one or two balls. They're a metre away from winning a T20 World Cup final. They were probably a catch or two away from beating Australia at Eden Garden in the 50 over World Cup to make that final. So I mean, they've been so close, and I think it is probably time that they win one.
There seems to be a little bit of pleasure on your face when you were describing how they fell short as well. There wasn't there? You enjoyed that?
No, it's not, because they're a team that I love watching play. I think they go about it the right way. They've got guys that take it on, particularly in the middle order. They've got guys that are aggressive with the ball. So for me, I think that everything is there for them to be a successful side and take that leap and win a big ICC event. I know whether it's a Champions Trophy or the World Cup.
I like that you say you always pick Australia to win any tournament. I'm just letting you know that your fellow panelist, Wasim Jaffer, has picked South Africa and Afghanistan in the semis. So I wonder if Aaron Finch wants to say anything to you.
Well, I mean, Australia...
I did hear that.
Yeah.
I mean, Australia obviously going to miss those three bowlers. I mean, Pat Cummins, Mitchell Starc, and obviously Hazelwood. That quality is very difficult to replace. Even though Australia will find a way, they have to win it through their batting. But I think those three guys are a big miss.
Right, Finji, anything to say to Wasim on how they're going to cope?
I can't disagree with that whatsoever. When you've got three world-class fast bowlers that have got the job done across all three formats, there is a hole in the side. But with that comes a great opportunity for the next generation of bowlers for Australia. Spencer Johnson, Ben Dorshus, Sean Abbott, Nathan Ellis. Guys that have got a lot of domestic experience. I know they haven't played a huge amount of international cricket, but it's not like they're 20-year-olds coming into international cricket. They're still around that 30-year-old mark. That they've been around for quite a while and they understand their game. So I think that they'll slot in there. But I can certainly see why people have written Australia off in this tournament already.
Right. It's a time to talk about just South Africa's preparation, which is in the same boat as a lot of teams that haven't had a lot of ODI cricket going into the tournament. And if anything, South Africa's run into this tournament has been poor. They've lost 6 ODIs on the trot. Many times they fielded second string sides, and that's just become a reality with the modern day calendar. Just trying to think, when we've got 2 top order batters here, batters who need to now adjust to playing 50 overs of cricket, whether a lack of preparation is something that's easy to counter, is challenging to counter. It's just a reality of the modern game.
Yeah, I mean, most of them are playing T20 leagues and other cricket. But I think you still need to get used to those 50 overs because it's still a relatively longer game. You can't go with the slam bang approach with the new ball. We have seen that other teams do and fail. So I think the top order needs to bat longer and get hundreds and set up the game. We've seen that with New Zealand in the first game. With the top order getting 100, then Latham getting 100 in the middle overs. So even though you're playing cricket, but you're playing different format, I think you still need to get used to this format and spend the time and then have wickets in hand, to explode in the last 10, 15 overs. So they got to come in. They haven't fielded their best 11, but now they've got to get from the get-go.
You're a modern-day coach, Wasim. What do you sense is the biggest challenge or adjustment that modern-day batters face when they have to switch to 50 overs cricket?
Well, I just think taking that high-risk approach in this format sometimes, make you fail miserably because you need, like I said, wickets in hand is very paramount in this format. You don't want to be 6 down, 7 down by the time you are 35, 40 overs. So I think that's a mistake most of the modern day batters make. And then rotation of the strike. Sometimes I feel that doesn't happen very often because in the T20 format you are looking for boundaries and sixes. But I think it's very, very important to keep rotating the strike in the middle over, especially against those 2 spinners who's going to bowl. So I think that becomes very important in this format.
Yeah, teams like New Zealand, who we saw on the opening day, in many ways even India, they seemed accustomed to playing this format given, I guess, the players that they do have. But Finchy England are committed to still playing almost an extension of their T20 brand of cricket in 50 overs cricket. It didn't work in the recent ODI bilateral series in India, but we don't expect anything different from them. You're just weigh in on how you expect batters to now adjust to the 50 overs format when we play very little bilateral 50 overs cricket, don't we?
Yeah, we do. And let me just go back a fraction just to talk about the preparation that South Africa's had leading in. And I think they missed a huge opportunity to send their frontline team. There's nothing can prepare you, than being on the ground and hitting balls and playing competitive matches. And the tri-series with New Zealand and Pakistan would have been a great opportunity for their batters to get in and play 50 overs and just get a feel for the game. Now they're coming off T20 cricket straight into 50 over cricket. That's a huge change at times, and sometimes that can be like Wasim said, the risk management is not something that the modern player is almost concerned with. That they want to just keep going high risk, and at some point, as soon as that comes undone, there's no foundation to lay back on. So you look, Kane Williamson's been in great form, Steve Smith, Joe Root. You look at these guys, and they've still got the foundation. They've played a lot of one-day cricket, so they understand that they're a rock within the team that the team will often bat around. So for me, I think that there's still a really delicate balance that needs to be flirted with, I guess, at times. I think the power play up front, you can go as hard as you want, try and maximise 2 fielders out, and the last 10. So the 20 overs are still really similar, but that middle part, I think, is where the games will be won and lost, particularly on wickets that start spinning and are not just absolute true flat belters that you can stand, not worry about your footwork and just try and hit through the line.
Do you sense this is perhaps where the batters that may not necessarily make their T20 teams will find life because of how things go? South Africa have Rassie, they have Temba Bavuma, Will Young the other day for New Zealand. Somehow if you have those batters, then even if you throw in the T20 dashers every now and then last minute, it could still work?
Yeah, I think that's the way that most teams will try and structure up their teams. I mean, if you look at Australia, for example, they'll probably go Travis Head and Matt Short at the top of the order, with Steve Smith to everyone to try and bat around, and maybe Marnus Labuschagne in that order as well. So you've got a couple of guys that can rotate strike, and then you sprinkle in the explosive guys who are almost cowboy, cavalier, kamikaze style players, where they go for broke from ball one. So there certainly is a need for these players to bat around they become so important within a team, because as soon as they get out, then it almost becomes chaos at both ends. So for me, really important, really fine balance to try and find that line. How hard do you go? And just not be prepared to not be flexible with the way that you want to play. You still have to adapt to conditions.
Right. Well, we'll wait to see how South Africa go with the bat. And it's probably a good toss result as well. Without Klaasen, we'll wait to see how South Africa set up. He's, of course, big news when a player like Klaasen's missing with the form that he's in. Did strike a score in the tri-series that they played just before this against Pakistan and New Zealand. Now, how do they shape up? Ryan Rickleton at the top of the order, which means Tony De Zorzi likely will bat 3. We thought it could be Bavuma and De Zorzi at the top. But Rickleton's had a terrific SA20. He's IPL bound, of course, with the Mumbai Indians. Van der Dusen likely 4, Markram 5. No Tristan Stubbs. You got Miller, Van Mulder, Marco Janssen with Maharaj, Rabada and Lungi Ngidi. So they've only played Maharaj as the specialist spinner and Markram, who does a lot of bowling in this format. Wasim, just thoughts on that team?
Yeah, I think they've got, their batting sorted out. They bat really deep. Marco Janssen batting at 8, and then Keshav Maharaj can bat as well. So their batting is pretty much sorted. They play spin really well, like we have spoken. I would have liked to see Shamsi in that 11. He brings in, because we've seen the ball spin in Karachi in the last game. But I can understand. They're playing Afghanistan. They'll probably play spin well. Probably that's the reason. Maybe against England and Australia, you might see Shamsi in. But I think that looks a very solid team, even though Tristan Stubbs, who's also a very excellent player, who's not finding a place, and with Klaasen not in that team, but still looks pretty good.
Yeah, just Finchy, your thoughts on that team? There's also no Corbin Bosch, who I think Dale Steyn said is one of the players to look out for. And we did see the ball turn even in the second innings in that opening game that you covered in Karachi.
Yeah, it turned big, and it turned big from the first innings as well. And the thing that surprised me was I was spinning from down the middle of the wicket, which is what you want as a spinner. So I'm really surprised that Shamsi's not in that squad or in that side today. But at the same time, they've got pace, they've got experience of Maharaj, and Markram can chip in. But I just felt as though Markram as the 6th bowling option, I guess. That could be exploited a little bit if he gets the opportunity. So I would have went with the 2 frontline spinners. But overall, it's still a very, very good side.
All right. We do expect good things from South Africa. They have expectations in this tournament. We spoke of the lack of preparation for the batters. Many of them were playing SA20. So were the bowlers. Now, what's the adjustment fast bowlers need to make? And barring Mohammad Shami yesterday, we're still waiting to see fast bowlers really get into this tournament. But as we have a look at what kind of prep the South African seamers have had since the 2023 ODI World Cup in India, Lungi Ngiddi's played 8 games. Marco Janssen just 3. Mulder's played a fair bit. He's been part of these teams that have played ODI cricket with perhaps some second string sides involved. Rabada, just the 2.
Yeah. I mean, they're a little bit short on that match practice, like we've spoken about. But those are, pretty solid bowlers. Rabada, Janssen has been bowling really well in the T20 format. And his batting as well has come really good in the recent times. But yeah, you would want them to play a little bit more match time coming into such big tournament, but I think they'll be fine. Lungi Ngidi also, he has a knack of picking up wickets, so I feel the pace bowling is pretty much sorted here.
The story of this tournament, Finchy, in many ways will be relatively unknown fast bowlers. You mentioned the Australian pacers that we'll see tomorrow. India have taken Arshit Rana. We saw Willow Roque the other day for New Zealand, and it's quite a nice tournament to wait to see what the next set of fast bowlers will be like when it comes to 10 overs cricket. What New Zealand did the other day I thought was quite something, and something maybe other teams can take a leaf from that.
Yeah, absolutely. And sometimes it's the unknown as well. When you walk into a tournament and you haven't had as much exposure, that can generally buy you a couple of overs with the ball as well. So I think that's a really positive way to look at it. And I think with the South African guys not playing much ODI cricket, I think they've still been playing a lot of Test cricket throughout that period as well. So I think if you're combining the endurance of Test cricket with the upskilling of T20 cricket, I think that the balance is still there for the bowlers to be able to execute towards the back end, but then also bring that stability and consistency of Test style bowling to the 50 overs as well. But it's a great opportunity for the quicks. I mean, there's going to be some flat wickets at various points, and I think the teams with a point of difference, whether it be guys who can swing it or guys with extra pace, be a real point of difference. And I mean, there hasn't been a tournament for a long time where there's been no Stark, Cummins, Hazelwood, Southey, Bolt, Bumrah. So like you said, it's a great opportunity for the next generation to really step up and make a name for themselves in international cricket.
Yeah, a question for both of you in this. Do you sense teams in their bowling plans are now setting up without worrying about death bowling necessarily? India have made perhaps that kind of call where they think that guys that will strike till the middle overs, and if we have X-factor spinners, that's a way to work. We don't need to worry about the last 5 or last 10 in ODI cricket like we worry about the last 4 or 5 in T20 cricket.
Yeah, I mean, the way the batters generally go, I feel, if you get the other team 6 down or maybe, 7 down by the time you are into the 40th over, you don't need to worry too much. It's only when you are 2 down or 3 down and, you've got big partnership, then your skills in the death overs comes in. But most of the time, the batters go so hard, you lose the wickets, and that's the way, that's what, Finchie has talked about. If you take wickets in the middle overs, you put a dent into the scoring board. So I think that's the way 50 overs gives you that. It's a bit like test match bowling. In T20, you don't get 4-5 overs, obviously. But here, the fast bowlers can bowl 5-6 overs, and you can set up the game. If you get teams like 4-5 down, then you don't need to worry about death bowling.
Yeah, Finchie, anything to add?
Well, there's nothing more important than wickets in white ball cricket, well, all cricket. But, I mean, like Wasm just said, if a team's 7 down with 8 overs to go, it doesn't matter who bowls. You can wheel anyone out and a job will be easy. On the flip side, if a team's 2 down, probably doesn't really matter who bowls anyway, does it? Because you're going to go around the park. So that's why teams have started to really push everything forward in their 50 overs and go extra aggressive up front to try and get a team 3 down in the power play and then keep forcing through the middle. Because, if, like you said, Wasm, if you don't get wickets through the middle phase of the game, teams just load up towards the back end, and that's where the high skill of the modern T20 player really comes into their own in this format.
All right, so let's have a look at the Afghanistan team now, shall we? South Africa, again, big news. No Heinrich Klaassen. Afghanistan, lots of expectations from Hashmatullah Shahidi's side. They were so good in the 50 overs World Cup. Gurbaz and Zadran is where their strength lies. There's Rema Chow, who's got experience, and Atal, who'll bat at 3, presumably. Omar Zai was excellent in the game against South Africa and Ahmedabad in that 50 overs World Cup. Gulbuddin Naib, Mohammad Nabi, Rashid Khan, lots of experience. They've gone for Noor Ahmed. There was the option, perhaps, of playing the left-arm orthodox spinner, but Noor Ahmed and Fazal Haq Farooqi. Wasim, thoughts?
Yeah, I think they've got their combinations right. Noor Ahmed and Rashid Khan has to be there. You're playing against South Africa. I mean, any team, you would want to attack with the spin. That's their strength. Fazal Haq Farooqi can swing with the new ball. That's what they'll be looking at. Gulbuddin Naim has been in great form in T20 format. And Umar Zai is an exciting talent. So they've got a very good side. The batting needs to click. I think from what I've seen in the recent past, Rahmatullah Gurbaz is not in such a great form. He hasn't got that many runs. Ibrahim Zadran hasn't played a lot of cricket since his injury. So that is something which we need to see. Rahmat Shah is a quality player, but they need to, bat those middle overs really well because they've got Rashid Khan at 9. So they've got batting till the end, but you don't want to expose them too early.
Just looking at who was possibly going to bowl in the middle overs and how well that game in Karachi that you saw, Finchie, was decided in the middle overs. I thought Pakistan started reasonably well, and then they didn't have any real punch once Will Young and Latham took the innings deep. Today, you've got South Africa without Klaassen, and you've got Afghanistan, dare I say, with a lot more to throw at them in the middle overs.
Yeah, it's exciting, isn't it? I love watching spinners, particularly Rashid and Noor. They're guys that both spin the ball big, and there is a bit of mystery about them as well. So that will be a huge challenge for South Africa, particularly if the wicket is as dry today as what we saw the other day, and there was no dew that come in towards the back end of the game. So, I mean, if you look at the Afghanistan batting lineup as well, they're not a team that you would back to chase 320 plus. They're not a team, if they bat first, that are going to put 350 on the board. So if they can restrict South Africa to a total around 260, I think that fits with how they play their cricket the best. They're a team that are technically very good. They're not at the top order. They're not guys that come out swinging. Gurbaz does from time to time, but there's a really good structure around how they go about it. So I think that 260 style game. But the one player I'm looking forward to watching today is the muscle man, Gulbuddin. He's an excitement machine. As long as his leg's okay, I'm not sure he's recovered from that T20 World Cup where it looked like somebody cut his leg off halfway through the over. But overall, that's a very good side as well. And on paper, cricket games aren't won on paper, but they've got a lot of bases covered. They're an exciting team to watch, and look forward to it.
Yeah, it's that shifting pain that Gulbadin has. Unfortunately, it doesn't come when the weather's clear. There's no rain forecast for the entire tournament in Pakistan, so it's normally a monsoon-based injury that he has. Right. On that note, though, we focus predominantly, as always, when it comes to Afghanistan at a major event, on Rashid Khan, and we break down his impact in cricket form. I can only assume that any opposition team for Afghanistan is going to have to spend some time on Rashid Khan, right? So let's break down Rashid Khan, the ODI bowler, a bit more. Now, this is South Africa's batters in this squad against leg spinners in one-day cricket over the last couple of years, where they average just over 10. Against all others, they are a vastly improved team against spin. Economy is 3.5. We're going to bring in some more numbers for you. And Klaasen's missing today. South Africa versus Rashid Khan. I guess this is the game then, Wasim.
Yeah, and they have to deal with 10 overs, not 4. So, he has a big role to play in that middle overs, and he's probably got numbers of most of the batters. Half of them probably won't have played him, that much, especially in ODI cricket. So, him and Noor Ahmed bowling in tandem in middle overs are going to challenge that top order or the middle order. So, that's going to be a, huge say in the game.
Yeah, let's take some more numbers. And Wasim makes a good point here. A lot of these South African players aren't as experienced as Heinrich Klaasen. They would have played a little or seen a little bit of him in T20 leagues. But Finchy, as we just look at individuals here, there's no Klaasen today who's one player who's had some success, if you want to call it that, small sample size in ODIs, but he at least strikes at 150 in T20s. If we just focus on ODIs, he really has the wood over somebody like Aiden Markram, who strikes at under 50. He's got him out twice. David Miller doesn't get him away either. They would have seen some of him in the SA20. I wonder if that'll be of any use, but not as easy.
Yeah, not as easy. And one thing to take into consideration when you're digging through the numbers, when you're looking at Rashid Khan, I mean, South Africa's numbers against all other spin is very good. High strike rates, high averages. But every time they face Rashid Khan, it'll be in the subcontinent conditions where the ball does spin a little bit more. So that's a totally different challenge. You can be a good player of spin in South Africa or Australia where the wickets are true, the bounce is consistent. But as soon as you start getting into Asian conditions where the ball slows up, it turns early, even with the hard new ball, it still turns as well. That's a totally different proposition. But even the fact that they've just played him recently, they've seen the ball out of their hand, albeit a different format, that'll still give them some confidence that they're able to formulate a plan to tackle him today. And maybe he is a player that you say, you know what, let's just deny him wickets. Because as soon as he gets a new batter on strike, he's so hard to get away, and he gets back-to-back wickets so often as well. So, all right, maybe we deny him and we look to attack Gulbadin, or we look to attack Faruqi and these guys and take those down.
Yeah, there's also Noor Ahmed. So that's a double threat that they likely to use.
Khan.
And Rashid Khan played in the SA20 final, won that. There were a number of these South African players in the opposition, but from what I gather, Rashid Khan doesn't bowl any more than he needs to. He doesn't bowl in the nets, doesn't bowl to his own team, so he still tries to keep the mystery going after all these years.
It's all about mystery, isn't it? I mean, when somebody is facing him, you need to have that mystery intact. So does Sunil Narayan as well, I've heard. He hardly bowls in the nets. So, with so much cricket being played, all around the world, that's what you want to do. You want to save yourself for the big games, and this is really big.
All right, let's get predictions. Shall we? South Africa v Afghanistan, big game, you think? Finchy, why don't you go first?
I'm going to stick with South Africa. I think the fact that they're batting first, that probably takes a little bit of the pressure off facing the spin through the middle. They'll be able to almost take their time a bit more and not have to overplay Noor and Rashid. So for me, I just think that they've got a little bit too much quality right throughout their order. So South Africa for me.
All right, first inning score prediction, Finchy. We saw 320 at Karachi the other day. South Africa today?
288.
Wasim Jaffer?
I'm going to go 265.
And you're still thinking that Afghanistan
I'm going to go for Afghanistan.
Well done. That's what we want. Wasim Jaffer says Afghanistan. Aaron Finch says South Africa. This should be a good one. And we'll pick up the chat with these fine men at the end of the South Africa innings on Maruti Suzuki Arena Presents ESPN Cricket for Match Day. So do join us then.
How do I do it all? The Brezza gives me the power.